Today, we will talk about the biggest gangster personality in hip-hop, Suge Knight. He was first a sportsman, then became a bodyguard, and finally became the owner of Death Row Records. Currently, he is in jail because of a murder case, and he is also accused of being involved in the deaths of many hip-hop legends like Eazy-E and the Notorious B.I.G. When Tupac was shot, Suge Knight was with him in the same car. Many allegations were made against Suge Knight that he was behind the shooting of Tupac, but nothing was ever proven. The bond between Suge Knight and Tupac was like that of real brothers.
Yeah. And then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Suge Knight's real name is Marion Hugh Knight Jr., and he was born on April 19, 1965, in Compton, California. Suge had 3 siblings, and he was the youngest among them. In his childhood, his nickname was Sugar Bear, and that's how the name Suge eventually came about. Suge's father was both a singer and a football player, and Suge, like his father, was a talented football player as well. And when we say football, we mean American football, which is quite different from soccer. Suge's football career was very promising during his school and college years, and he was a star player with a tall and athletic build. He received an athletic scholarship to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where he was not only a great sportsman, but also a good student. He was even selected by the Los Angeles Rams football team, but unfortunately, Suge Knight only played 2 games in 1987 before ending his football career. After that, he gradually moved into a criminal lifestyle and got involved with gangs at a very young age, since he was born in Compton, a place known for its dangerous gang culture. Suge Knight joined the Blood Gang, specifically the mob Piru Bloods. Suge Knight was first arrested for domestic violence after he assaulted his girlfriend and even cut her hair. He was released on bail, but later that same year, he was arrested again for attempting to steal a car. During that incident, he shot at the car's owner, who fortunately survived. While in jail, Suge realized that continuing down this path would only lead to either death or a lifetime behind bars, so he decided to turn his life around. After his release on probation, Suge looked for a legitimate job. With his imposing build and gang connections, a mutual friend introduced him to Bobby Brown, who was a well-known singer at that time. Bobby Brown, at the peak of his career, saw Suge's physique and hired him as his bodyguard. There was an incident where some people tried to attack Bobby Brown over a record deal, and instead of Bobby, Suge stepped in and confronted them. Suge's intimidating presence made those attackers flee without any violence. What exactly Suge said to them remains a mystery, but it impressed Bobby Brown, and a strong friendship developed between them. Along with being a bodyguard, Suge also became Bobby Brown's event promoter. Being close to Bobby Brown, Suge realized that the music industry had a lot of money, and he wanted to be part of it. At just 22 years old, he started his own publishing company, though it was more of a name at that point, and not very profitable. One of his clients was Mario Johnson, who had written some lyrics for Vanilla Ice's hit song, Ice Ice Baby. However, Vanilla Ice never paid Mario Johnson for his contributions. When Mario Johnson told Suge Knight about this, Suge then surrounded Vanilla Ice, tracking him down at various places like restaurants and hotels.
Suge took me out on the balcony, started talking to me personally.
On the balcony?
On the balcony, high above, like 15 floors. He had me look over the edge, show me how high I was up there.
You scared?
When Dr. Dre was not being paid properly by Ruthless Records, the DOC, who was Dr. Dre's close friend, went to Suge Knight and asked him to help get Dr. Dre released from the label. Since Ruthless Records was owned by Eazy-E, Suge Knight went to meet Eazy-E. At that time, Suge was carrying a baseball bat. It is said that Suge and his associates intimidated Eazy-E and forced him to sign the documents, which released Dr. Dre from Ruthless Records. This entire incident was also shown in the movie Straight Outta Compton.
You gonna sign these, releasing Dre and DOC from Ruthless.
Discussions about Suge Knight extended beyond the music industry, and a well-known gangster and drug dealer, Michael Harris, also known as Harry O., who was in prison at the time, reached out to Suge. He wanted to invest his money in the music business before the government could seize it. This way, Suge suddenly found himself with a large sum of money given how lucrative the drug trade was. After securing the release of the DOC and Dr. Dre from Ruthless Records, Suge transformed his publishing company into a record label named Death Row Records. He brought Dr. Dre on board and they released the album The Chronic, which became a massive hit with impressive sales. In the following years, Snoop Dogg also joined Death Row Records, and his album Doggy Style went platinum. As more cases piled up against Suge, it was clear that he and his associates were deeply involved in gangster activities. They had amassed a significant amount of money, and conflicts often erupted in the studio, which eventually frustrated Dr. Dre. During that time, the East Coast versus West Coast feud was also intensifying, and Suge's name became synonymous with fear in the industry. Reporters, producers, and even the entire music and movie world began to dread his name. At the peak of his career, Suge made a major move by bailing Tupac out of jail and signing him to Death Row Records, which proved to be highly profitable given Tupac's massive album sales. However, in 1996, Dr. Dre left Death Row to start his own label, Aftermath, and that same year, Tupac was tragically killed in a shooting. You can find more details about Tupac's story in his own biography. In 1995, Eazy-E passed away due to AIDS, and in 1997, Biggie was killed in a shooting, both incidents linked to allegations against Suge Knight, though nothing was ever proven. There were even claims that Suge had somehow infected Eazy-E with the virus, and that he was involved in Tupac's death as well. However, given the close bond between Suge and Tupac, it seems unlikely. In later years, Snoop Dogg also left Death Row, and the legendary label's influence began to wane. As Suge faced numerous legal troubles and was on probation, he violated parole conditions and was sentenced to 9 years, though he was released after 5. After his release, Suge attempted to relaunch Death Row, but it wasn't successful. In 2015, Suge visited the set of the Straight Outta Compton movie and had an altercation with some crew members, ultimately running over someone with his car, as captured on CCTV. This led to a murder charge and a 28-year prison sentence, meaning Suge will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Had he used his power and influence positively, he could have been a true kingmaker in hip-hop. And so, the story of Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row, comes to an end.